Hello, welcome to Psychopath in Your Life. This is episode number 34. I'm your host, Dianne Emerson. I'm the author of the book Psychopaths and Our Lives, My Interviews, which is now available on Amazon and iBooks. As I mentioned last week, the podcast for the next few weeks will be in shorter versions to answer questions from emails that I receive. And today I'd like to continue our chat about psychopaths and love. I get a lot of questions, comments, and stories about love and psychopaths. And if you'd like to read years worth of stories about love and psychopaths, you can go to psychopath-research.com, and there's lots of stories there to read. If you find a person that you want to follow their story, you can click on their name and it'll pop up and show you that you can view their posts. But today I'd like to start off and give you the perspective of how psychopaths feel about love. I'd like for you to really be present and hear what they are saying. And I'll continue this conversation next week from how the victim sees love with a psychopath. Okay, let's cue the psychopath. Here we go. I would like to think of the starting phase as falling in love or getting to know each other. Gaslighting comes when cracks start to show in these as a reaction to the threat they pose. After a while, this then fades into the getting them to leave phase. I believe I do understand some aspects of emotion quite well. It is hard to tell, though, as there is much I have learned to understand on a conceptual, not experiential level. I could convince you that I know what it is like to truly suffer. I could convince you I know what it is like to truly love. What would you like me to understand best? I have learned the words and the faces for it all. Love me, fear me. It doesn't really matter which, as long as you pay me attention, and I can interpret it as adulation. If you love someone, and just as you reach for what should be intimacy, instead run as fast as possible, which is absolutely the sensible thing to do, even in the most extreme of cases. Victims have their need to empathize, and that causes them to try to soothe it instead of running as fast as possible. See how it all works? You try to grab onto it and try to restore order, only to find there was no one in the first place, by which point you're spinning through the air, upside down, and watching pigs and bits of the barn whiz past. Like the deeper you go, the more obvious the mess is. Well, that has a lot packed into it, and I think that part, plotting to get the relationship to break up, was kind of the ones that I really hadn't heard much from victims over the years, because really, who would think that would be something they'd be plotting to do? That doesn't mean that they don't try to come back again, and we'll get into that in more detail later. So what this information should show you is the process. They ensnare you, they get you to love them, and then they make their moves. Once you are in the web, and they plot to get you to leave. They will never be able to return your love, but they know every move to convince you that they are the one. They only know how to pray, not love. And by that I mean pray as in P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. Thanks for tuning in, and next week I'd like to chat more about how the victim is many times the last person to really see what they are dealing with in a psychopath. In many cases, their family and friends will see what is going on, what was missed or what could be done. But I would like to leave you with the thought that if you were a victim in a relationship, it was calculated and plotted, and I'd like to remove some of the shame and the feeling that you might have that came along with this. Is what they want to boil it down to is that you did something wrong that created all this. And I can guarantee you that it wasn't you. You got in the path of a psychopath who was able to convince you of these things. So anyway, I hope you like the podcast, and if you would subscribe and share on social media, that would be great. And thanks in advance for any help you can offer by your links and whatnot. And if you want to read lots of stories, you can go to psychopath-research.com. There's a link below. And you can also find this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Facebook, YouTube, and the website. If you go to the website psychopathinyourlife.com, it's the same name as the show, there's an audio box there so you can also listen directly. or you can find the contact information. I have set up a private email box, which by private I mean that you don't have to enter your email address or any personal information to get it to send to me directly. Or if you'd like to email me directly, my email box is Dianne, Dianne, at Dianne Emerson, DianneEmerson.com. So anyways, I look forward to hearing from you, and try to be safe out there. And remember that when we are ready to hear the answer, it will appear. Goodbye for now. See you next week.